fastest estate car in the world. Sacrificed 12 Ford consoles, basically a train horn, 6.3 litres of V8 hiding under the bonnet. Mercedes objected to their car being named after a dog. Little-known company AMG were ordered by the likes of Sophia Loren and George Harrison from the Beatles. The only Crayford 6.3 estate in existence. This is one of the rarest Mercedes Benz that you've probably never heard of for two very important reasons, and the first one is here. Yes, that's right, this is an S-Class estate. So I'm sure you're all wondering what on earth that is about. An S-Class estate, they simply don't exist. However, you're going to have to wait to find out more about that. First of all, let me tell you about the base car. This is a 1969 300 SEL. However, it's no normal 300 SEL. This is the 6.3. Just 700 of these 6.3s were ever made in right-hand drive, and this is one of them. In the 1960s, the biggest engine you could get in the SEL was a 6-cylinder. However, that wasn't good enough for some people. So a little bit of a skunk works project at Mercedes-Benz, they decided to shoehorn the 6.3 litre engine from the 600 limousine into the SEL, making this car in the 1960s one of the fastest four-door cars in the world. However, this car is not a four-door car, it's a five-door car, meaning this is probably the fastest five-door estate car in the world in the 1960s. So let me show you that special engine. Pull the lever down here and pop the bonnet. And there it is. What a big lump that is. As mentioned, this is the engine from the W100, the likes of the 600 Pullman, and it produced 250 horsepower, which might not sound like a lot, but actually 588 newton meters is a lot, even by today's standard. And that allowed a 6.6 second 0 to 60 time, which in the 60s was insane. It's still quick today, so seriously impressive numbers, and 137 mile an hour top speed, which makes this, in my opinion, the ultimate Q car. This car is fully debadged, quite subtle in this dark moss green non-metallic paint colour. You would not know there was 6.3 litres of V8 hiding under the bonnet. However, when it comes past you at nearly 140 miles an hour, then you know that this is a serious car. So just quickly, before I show you the most special feature on the 300 SEL, I want to talk about buying used cars and the most important thing to do when buying a used car, and that is, of course, to run a car vertical check to check if the car that you want to buy is clocked, crashed or stolen. If you're watching this video, you're probably into your Mercedes and you're definitely into your 6.3 litre V8 engines. So we've got here a car vertical report for a C63 AMG. Lovely car, but sadly not this one. If I take a look at the photos now, this car's obviously been in a huge front end collision and is an insurance write-off. And if I keep scrolling down, the mileage is all good. However, MOT has failed for a whole load of scary reasons, which I suspect might be related to the accident that it had. So if you want to avoid buying a dodgy car online and getting ripped off, make sure to use my discount code for a car vertical check to have complete peace of mind when buying a used car. Every generation of S-Class in the history of Mercedes-Benz has been known for its revolutionary advancements in technology, safety, comfort, speed, and the W108 was no exception. This was an extremely luxurious car in the 60s and 70s with the likes of electric windows, hydraulic suspension, electric sunroof, even the option for curtains in the back, writing tables in the back, reading lamps, air conditioning, even a tape deck. And of course, the moss green paintwork is beautifully contrasted by this ivory leather and green carpets, and even after 71,000 miles, it's a testament to Mercedes build quality that this interior is still in immaculate condition. So there's no doubt that the SEL is a special car. However, special is not special enough for some people. Some people out there want a coach-built car, and that's exactly what this is. This car was coach-built by Crayford to be an estate car. They took the Ford console, they sacrificed 12 Ford consoles in order to make 12 SEL estates. That's right, only 12 of these conversions were ever done. And this, the 6.3, is the only Crayford 6.3 estate in existence, making this car truly one of a kind. So let me show you the boot. Let me show you what it's all about. That is the result in essence. We've taken a saloon car and we've got instead a huge green carpet lined boot. What more could you want, especially when this car has that huge V8 up front, making this at the time the fastest estate car in the world. So this car was ordered new Well, it must have been by someone pretty insane to want something like this, and it was. It was Formula One driver Kenneth McAlpine. But other Crayford conversions, SELs, were ordered by the likes of Sophia Loren and George Harrison from the Beatles. So you had to be someone quite well known, quite affluent to want to order something like this. And I'm not kidding, this was £7,000 for the base 6.3 SEL in the 1960s. You think £7,000, that's not a lot of money. However, you'd be wrong. £7,000 in the 60s was enough to buy a house in Fulham. And then the conversion was another £5,000 on top of that. Nearly as much as the car cost, again, just to make it into an estate form. But as mentioned, they had to sacrifice a Ford console to get this roofline and these rear windows in order to make this estate car. And let me tell you a little bit more about Crayford. Crayford were a well-known British coach builder based in Kent. They worked on cars like Ford, Volkswagen, and of course Mercedes Benz, and they were very well known for doing things like making cars convertible when they obviously didn't come from factories convertible, and making them of course into estate cars. They also stretched cars. They actually did a Mercedes 114, stretched it, called it the Dachshund because it sort of resembled a sausage dog, and it could seat 12 people. However, Mercedes objected to their car being named after a dog. And it's worth remembering that Mercedes did not sell an estate car until the S123 around about a decade later. So of course, in the 1960s, there was a big demand to have a Mercedes Benz estate because you could not get one from Mercedes. So a beautiful car like this, it would be rude not to take it for a drive. So let's fire this 6.3 litre V8 into life. There we go, listen to that thing purr. I should mention this beautiful woodwork that's just recently been redone by Starcrest Woodwork. All the original wood, but it's been re-lacquered and it looks perfect. So we're on the open road now. The sunroof is open. I mentioned that this car, the SEL, had the luxurious option of a sunroof. Unfortunately, this SEL, when it was ordered, did not come with a sunroof. Instead, Crayford added this option, £700 option. And I mentioned that £7,000 was a house in Fulham. So you can imagine £700 was a lot of money just to add a sunroof. However, I must say this car is glorious to drive. The steering wheel is enormous and incredibly thin. Modern cars, the steering wheels have become a little bit too thick, so it is a bit like driving a yacht, this. But in terms of the way it handles and the way it takes off, it's just like a modern car. It's got a serious amount of power. It's worth mentioning that this SEL is not the only special version of the SEL in existence. Back in 1971, there was a little known company, AMG, that took one of these 6.3 SELs, not an estate of course, and made it into a 6.8, and they took it racing and actually came second place at the 24 Hours of Spa, and that car was known as the Red Pig. Red Pig is a legend and was the sort of genesis for many of the amazing AMG cars that we know and love today. So I've talked so much about how powerful and quick this car is. Let's give it a go and see what it is all about. It's not a joke, this car seriously, it does take off. And of course, if someone's in your way, when you want to use all that power, it's got basically a train horn to get people to get out of the way. Something else I thought I should mention. Back in the 1960s, seatbelts were not mandatory, but because this is an S-Class, the height of safety, it did come with seatbelts. And I went to put the seatbelt on, and I thought the seatbelt was broken. I couldn't find the latch anywhere. It didn't make any sense. I thought, well, where's the other end of it? But no, look at this for novel. You put it in like that, latch it down, and the latch is all there, and it just loops around that like that. Fantastic. And of course, you press that to release it. Ingenious solution by Mercedes Benz. What a fantastic drive that was in the 6.3. Thanks in part, I'm told, to Paul Sumner, the Mercedes mechanic who looks after this car and makes it drive so well. Speaking of thanks, a big thank you to Chasseur Cowboy on Instagram, who owns this car and kindly let me come around and take a video with it. A lot of you enjoyed the Bentley Val d'Isère coach-built estate video that I did, so hopefully you will enjoy this one too, of this truly one-of-a-kind Mercedes Benz 300 SEL 6.3 Crayford estate car.